The company went public, and I received 60 million yuan. Officially financially free. I went home and teased my parents that I'd been laid off and was about to move back to the countryside to live off them. That very same day, they transferred all the family property and real estate into my younger brother's name and even said they were moving in with him, telling me to go rent a place on my own. My girlfriend also came to break up with me. I just smiled and agreed to everything they asked. No one knew I had 60 million yuan in my hands. Mom, Dad, I suddenly came back because I got fired. Could you support me for a while? I saw the stunned looks on their faces and almost burst out laughing, barely holding it in as I added, I still have enough to get by. You scared us. Just then I saw Dad tug Mom's sleeve. The two of them forced smiles at me. It's fine. Taking a break for a while is okay. Son, go rest in your room for a bit. We have something to take care of outside. With that, they hurried back into their bedroom, afraid they'd taken me seriously and were worried. I was about to knock and explain when I heard Dad's voice through the door. Ban is unemployed now. If he just lies around at home like this, isn't he planning to live off us? That won't do. While he still doesn't know how much property we have. Hurry and transfer all the money and real estate into the younger one's name so he won't set his sights on it. Mom's voice hesitated. Transfer everything? But one of those places is supposed to be Ban's wedding house. Even if it's under our names. Is that really okay? Dad sounded impatient. If it's in our names, it's ours. He works properly in the city and he's the eldest. What's wrong with thinking about his younger brother a bit? As for the wedding house, he can earn money later and buy another one himself. But I'm afraid Ban will think we're playing favorites. Playing favorites? We're his parents, we raised him. Besides, now that he's unemployed, giving it to the younger one counts as saving it for him. Otherwise, what if he just lazes around and spends the whole family fortune later? Mom thought for a moment, then finally nodded. All right, I'll tell Dew to not to let it slip. Leaning against the door, I let out a faint, self-mocking smile and turned back to my room. I'd always known my parents loved Dew to more than me, because I grew up with Grandma while he stayed by their side. Since childhood they'd always told me, you're the eldest brother, the eldest is like a father. Whether you're right or wrong, you have to give in to your younger brother. We work so hard to earn money. We had no choice but to leave you in the countryside because we had to get up early and stay up late. Your school records are already there, moving you would affect your studies. Just stay in the countryside. We still have to take care of your brother. I always understood how hard they worked. So after my freshman year of college, I never took another cent from them. I even worked part-time to help pay my younger brother's tuition. After graduation I worked like a mule for nearly 8 years and finally saved enough to buy a 2-bedroom apartment back home, planning to use it as the wedding house for me and my girlfriend. But my brother said not to affect my first home quota and told me to register it under our parents' names so I wouldn't lose eligibility if I ever had a chance to buy in the capital. I thought we were family, so it didn't matter, and I agreed. I never imagined they'd already started calculating against me back then. This time I'd come home intending to surprise them. A company I'd invested shares in had just gone public. I'd received more than 60 million in dividends, with more coming every year. I'd achieved financial freedom. I'd been thinking I'd discuss with my parents about buying a villa, a few storefront properties for my brother to run a business, and a car, and setting aside a few million yuan each for their retirement. Life would be easier from now on. The whole family could even go on a trip together. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why I joked that I was moving back to mooch off them, planning to scare them first and then tell them the good news that our family had struck it rich. I never expected the one who'd be frightened senseless would be me. Even though what my parents said shocked me, my younger brother Dew surely wouldn't be like that. Ever since he was little, anything good I had I gave to him first. You could practically say I raised him myself. The bond between us brothers was extremely strong. He couldn't possibly agree with something as selfish as our parents' thinking. Not long after, my parents came back out and pretended to be concerned. Son, it's really fine. You've worked hard all these years. Just rest well at home. We have something to do outside. If you want to eat anything tonight, message Mom on WeChat. If I hadn't overheard that conversation earlier, I never would have imagined that these parents who seemed so caring toward me were actually calculating against me behind my back. Just then Mom's phone rang. I heard my younger brother's voice from the other end. Mom, what's so urgent? You even made me come all the way to the notary office. Mom hurriedly took the phone and walked farther away. If I tell you to come, just come. Why ask so many questions? Dad leaned over with a smile, blocking my view. Rest up. We'll be back soon. I smiled without saying anything. After they left, I quietly followed behind them. Sure enough, I saw them stop my brother on the street. I slipped into a nearby corner and eavesdropped. They repeated exactly what they'd said in the bedroom. After hearing it, my brother frowned. What you're doing isn't right. How can you treat my older brother like that? Mom quickly tugged his sleeve. Oh, you two. Your brother's unemployed now and lying around at home. Who knows how long he plans to live off us? What if he spends all his savings and then makes us support him? When you want to buy a house and get married later, what will you use? Dad nodded in agreement. Exactly. Lots of young people leech off their parents nowadays. We have to take precautions. Besides, what's wrong with it? The property is in our names anyway. We can give it to whoever we want. Better to give it to you than let him squander it. Mom chimed in again. Your brother works in the capital and can make money. Once he knows there's nothing left at home, he'll go back to work in a few days. We won't need to worry about him at all. My brother still hesitated. But we've met his girlfriend before. Didn't they say they were planning to get married? At least that apartment is supposed to be his wedding house. Is it really okay for you to transfer it to me? Oh please, what wedding house? He doesn't even have a job now. What girl would still follow him? You're different. If you stay in the countryside without money or a house, won't it be even harder for you to marry and have children? But what if he finds out? My brother asked. Dad paused, then snorted coldly. So what if he finds out? We're his parents after all. Your brother's always been filial and obedient. Whatever we say, he listens. Children being filial to their parents is only natural. Even if he knows, he'll understand our difficulties and won't blame us. Think of it as putting pressure on him to strive harder. Mom added, that's right. How can young people rest? Has your brother ever thought about how hard we struggled out there so he could study? Even if he knows, what's he going to do? Argue with us? If he did, that'd make him an ungrateful wretch. At this point Dad grew more and more irritated. Honestly, if his grandpa hadn't forced it back then, he should have dropped out long ago. Tell me, what's the point of country kids studying so much? Boys his age are already out working and earning money. HMPH. If that old man hadn't been so stubborn, maybe your brother would be successful by now. Exactly, Mom agreed. Kids from the countryside should learn independence early. Do you know how hard we worked out there all those years? She glanced at her watch and said hurriedly. You two, let's go. Hurry to the notary office. When we get back, don't let your brother find out. I saw Tu's lips move. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. In the end he only nodded slightly. All right, I know, but this is your decision, not mine. He's probably just home to rest a bit. Maybe he'll go back to the capital to make money again. I'm still counting on him to buy me a car. Don't let him get mad at me. Oh, you don't need to remind us, Mom said. We've already thought of everything. I watched the cheerful trio walk away chatting and laughing. I leaned against the wall, covered my eyes with one hand, and let out a bitter laugh. The moment I received that money, the first thought in my mind had been to come home and share the good news, that we could all live a more prosperous life. I wanted to share that joy with them. I thought we were a family. But what about them? They had never treated me as family at all. In their eyes only Tu was their child. What was I then? I was just the family dog. A dog to be bled dry. Tossed a few sweet words now and then so everything would be smoothed over. Since high school I hadn't spent a single cent of the family's money. I studied by day and worked nights bussing dishes. Afraid they'd have to suffer more because of me. I wore other people's old clothes and shoes that were torn and didn't fit. Meanwhile Tu had more new clothes than he could wear. They told me to understand my younger brother, that he'd grown up in town and was used to spending money. I was the older brother, I had to give in. Had to indulge him. I listened. I did exactly that. I always thought that as the older brother I should be more mature. I believed my parents didn't fuss over me because they trusted I could stand on my own. But I never imagined it was because they couldn't be bothered to spend time on me at all. At first I'd only joked about quitting my job and coming home to mooch off them. Who would have thought that joke would drag me face to face with a truth I'd avoided for years? Still, it wasn't too late. At least the money was still in my hands. That night the whole family sat down to dinner, exchanging glances. Finally Mom spoke first. Ban, you've worked hard out there all these years. I know you came home to rest a bit. But our family's situation right now is pretty difficult. I lowered my head and kept eating without a word. Dad cleared his throat and joined in. It's just that your mother and I did a little business before and ended up losing everything. The owner wants this house back too. A ban. We really don't have any money left. We can only move into the place your brother's renting. But it's very small, so, you see what you can do. Move out this week and find somewhere to stay yourself. They'd clearly expected me to be shocked, to question them, and had prepared their explanation in advance. But I only answered lightly. Got it, I'll pack up and move out. I didn't care what story they were planning to make up to trick me. Because I didn't care anymore. Just like the fact that I had 60 million yuan in dividends, I would never tell them either. I'd just finished packing over the past few days and was getting ready to leave when my girlfriend suddenly came back to town to find me. My parents had also been gathering things in the house lately, when they saw her. They looked surprised. Oh no, you're here? The house is a little messy. Just sit wherever. Lamone nodded slightly, her gaze sweeping around the room. She frowned faintly, lifted a hand to cover her nose, and looked uncomfortable. Seeing my parents there, I couldn't speak openly about what had happened. So I asked curiously, oh no, why did you come so suddenly? Yesterday you said you wanted to see me. But I told you I'd be back in a few days. Why didn't you call me to pick you up? Was the trip tiring? Before I could finish, Lamone cut me off softly. Tu Ban, this is urgent. She glanced at my parents. I understood immediately, pulled her into my room, and shut the door. Oh no, let me pour you some water. Let's break up. The words froze me where I stood. I turned back in disbelief. Oh no, why so suddenly? I actually have good news I wanted to tell you. I said we're breaking up. Her voice was firm. I took a deep breath and sat beside her, feeling as if all the strength had been drained from my body. I'd met Lamone through a friend's introduction. She was also from a small province, working in the capital like me, with backgrounds like ours. Staying in Beijing was incredibly hard. So we'd planned that after a few years, once we'd saved enough, we'd move to a smaller city and settle down. Originally we figured another year or two would be enough. Then we'd get married. I knew her mother didn't like me, but I never expected her to suddenly demand a breakup like this. I'd been about to tell her I'd achieved financial freedom when Lamone frowned and said bluntly to my face. Tu Ban, you're really useless. You've worked in Beijing for so many years and still can't even afford a house. The words I'd been about to say stuck in my throat. Oh no, it's not that I'm useless. A house in Beijing costs 20 million yuan. How could an ordinary worker possibly afford that? You're from a small town too, you should understand that. Lamone let out a scornful laugh. Stop making excuses for your failure. I don't want to say anything more. I came here to end things cleanly. I won't beat around the bush. Tu Ban, my mom found someone else for me. I think he's a great match. He's a Beijing local. I'm going to marry him. Marry? Thinking back on all the times she'd said she was working overtime, I suddenly realized something and couldn't help letting out a bitter laugh. Lamone, is it really just for money? Then what if I had money? What if I really did have money now? She turned to look at me and said nothing. In that moment, meeting her eyes, I realized she was no longer the girl she used to be. There wasn't a trace of love left in the way she looked at me now, only exhaustion and disgust. Tu Ban, you should be realistic. The love you give me is dirt cheap compared to money. It's worthless. And even if you had money, how much could you possibly have? In this lifetime you'll never afford a house in Beijing. Basically, you're no different from migrant workers who come from the countryside to labor in the city. Don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. In this world you have to be realistic. Every word she spoke cut into me like a knife. I felt like my life was nothing but a ridiculous farce. I curled my lips into a mocking smile. Fine, if breaking up is what you want, then we'll break up. I hope you never regret it. I wish you happiness. Lamone looked at me and sighed softly. Tu Ban, I will be happy. Don't talk bitterly. In the future you should be more realistic too. I heard you had a good job and thought you might have a chance to stay in Beijing. Turns out I was naive. That tiny salary of yours isn't even enough to survive. But I don't owe you anything. Even if you treated me well, I was with you for quite a while. I lowered my head and said nothing more. Seeing that, she turned and left immediately. Right then, it suddenly struck me that maybe the unfortunate one wasn't me, but them. Because everything they'd ever longed for, I already had, and yet just when it was all only one step away from them, they revealed their true faces. Maybe even heaven knew they didn't deserve any of it. My parents saw that Lamone left without even greeting them, and their faces darkened at once. What kind of person is she? No manners at all. Not only didn't she cook us a meal, She didn't even bother to look at us. A ban. A woman like that must never marry into our family. If you did, she'd only bring bad luck. I'm not marrying her. We already broke up, I said coldly. They exchanged glances. See? Without a job even women look down on you. All right, hurry and go back to Beijing to find work. Later you still have to support us. Your brother wants to buy a car. If you don't work hard and get a job again, are you going to make us suffer in old age? I didn't want to say another word to them. I just nodded indifferently. Once I finish packing, I'll go back to Beijing. They immediately beamed and nodded. That's more like it. You're young. What's the point of rotting away in the countryside? Going out is better. That's where your future is. Hearing that, I almost let out a cold laugh. Back then, when it was my younger brother, they hadn't said anything like that. Back then they'd told him, "Where are you going? Stay home. Job, house, car. We'll prepare everything. Your brother sends money back every month anyway, right?" And I really had sent quite a lot home every single month. Thinking of that, I curled my lips and let out a cold laugh. Don't worry, if you ever manage to take even one more cent from me again, then I'm not human. After returning to Beijing, I completed all my handover work at the company and officially resigned. The company still wanted to keep me, so they offered a consulting contract, asking me to help occasionally when needed. I agreed. A few of us from the team who'd achieved financial freedom got together for a big celebratory meal. After that, with nothing to do from all the free time, someone suggested starting a company just for fun. Doing a little business on the side, even if we lost money it wouldn't matter. I didn't object and agreed to invest. We chatted happily that day. Who would have thought that when I got home, I'd find the apartment had been robbed, completely emptied out. Even the curtains were gone. I sobered up instantly and called the police. Very quickly, from the building's surveillance footage, they identified the culprit. I never expected it to be Lamone. She hadn't left a single thing behind, not even the kettle. I was so angry I laughed. I immediately called the landlord so we could report it together. The next day, while I was sleeping in a hotel, Lamone called like a madwoman. Half asleep, I answered. Who is it? Từ Bân. Are you insane? You actually called the police? Her shriek pierced my ears and made me frown. I pulled the phone away and glanced at the screen, letting out a cold chuckle. Lamone, I seriously wonder if you even have a brain. Those things belong to the landlord. You call it taking them, but you won't let him report it stolen? She screamed into the phone like she'd lost her mind. What do you mean the landlord's? Everything was mine. I gave you the list and made you buy all of it. Now that we've broken up, what's wrong with me taking my own stuff? What right do you have to call the police? Withdraw the report right now, or I won't let this go. I was truly speechless at the sheer distortion of her logic. I answered calmly, fine, then go tell the police that story and see if they believe such nonsense. I snorted coldly, blocked her number, and deleted everything related to Lamone. A few days later I went to the hospital for a full physical. The results showed several polyps in my intestines. Staring at the report, an idea suddenly formed in my mind. A month later, I went straight to the cramped rental where my younger brother was living. My parents were still there, probably still hoping I'd pay to buy him a car. Yet willing to squeeze into that tiny place. Their patience was impressive. The moment I arrived, I burst into tears. Mom, Dad, I'm sick. The company fired me because of this. I didn't dare tell you the truth because I didn't want you to worry. Their faces twitched. Then they forced smiles. A ban. Don't joke like that. You don't look sick at all. I pretended to choke up. Speaking softly, at my checkup earlier this year, the doctor said it's colon cancer. Not terminal yet, luckily they caught it early. Mom, Dad, I know things are hard at home and you've both worked so hard. But I still have that apartment. It's worth over 300,000. The doctor said that amount should be enough to control the illness. I looked at them with hope. Just treat it like I'm borrowing it. My brother still has a job. He must have some savings. Please save me, please. Hearing that, Dad panicked immediately. We don't have money. Your brother, let us think about it first. Mom cut in quickly. Don't rush. Don't worry. We'll definitely find a way to help you. They told me to sit on the sofa and wait while they went into the bedroom to discuss how much money they had. I watched them go inside, gave a cold smile, then walked quietly to the balcony window and listened. Sure enough, they immediately started calculating. What did a ban say? Cancer? That's cancer. He still has that house. But he's unemployed now and sick too. Even giving him the house wouldn't be enough. Dad lowered his voice. We can't give it. How can cancer be cured? Giving it would just be a waste. Besides, once someone has cancer, their health only gets worse. The whole family would be dragged down by him. Mom began to cry. Then what do we do? If we don't give it and he clings to us, what then? Maybe we should take him to see traditional medicine? Dad sighed. What's the point of that? How could it be cured? Think of a way to send him somewhere else. The farther the better. Let him handle himself. Don't let him drag the family down. At those words, my heart turned to ice. Mom was silent for a while, then choked out. There's no better way. Your father fell and broke his leg a few months ago and it cost so much to hospitalize him. Isn't he still left in the countryside to recover on his own? If a man really has cancer, who knows how much it'll cost? Dad said coldly. Don't mention him. Just hearing about him annoys me. He keeps calling from the countryside, bothering me. I'm done caring. If he dies, he dies. All right. While a man can still move around, think of a way to send him somewhere. Don't let him become a burden. Hearing that, I froze. So Grandpa had been sick and they hadn't told me. Worse, they'd left him in the countryside to fend for himself. What kind of monsters were they? How could anyone be so inhuman? I trembled with rage. I had to get to the bottom of this immediately. That evening my younger brother came home. They didn't realize I was listening and pulled him into the bedroom to tell him everything. Your brother still looks healthy, he said. That's just on the outside. Who knows? Now's not the time to worry about his illness. Hurry and think of a way to send him somewhere. Don't let him come back and burden us. Then Dad seemed to remember something. Didn't you say before there are those tour groups that go up north and people who go almost never come back? My brother hesitated. There are ones that pretend to send workers abroad. But anyone who goes is basically finished. Your brother has cancer, he'd be a lifelong burden. The room fell silent for a long time. Finally Dad spoke. Then it's settled. We'll treat it like sending him on a trip to relax. We'll find a way to put him in one of those groups and sign him up. Mom and my brother didn't object. I stood outside and heard everything, heard them plotting how to trick me. How to make me die alone in a foreign place. Fortunately I'd already given up on them. I took out my phone and sent a message. Tomorrow, everything would be settled. Early the next morning they started acting again. First my younger brother. Bro, I'm sorry. Give me some time, I'll figure out a way to borrow money. Our family really doesn't have much left. It's all my fault for being useless. Then Dad. A ban. Blame me. If I hadn't been greedy trying to make more money for you and you too, I wouldn't have lost everything. Blame me. Blame me. Finally Mom chimed in. A ban. Don't worry. We would never abandon you. We've decided to sign you up for a tour so you can get a change of scenery. When you come back, we'll take you for treatment. I didn't respond. Right then loud shouting erupted outside the door. Ban. Get out here. Don't think you can hide in the countryside after owing money. We'll drag you out wherever you are. Then came heavy pounding kicks on the door that made my parents and brother turn pale. My brother trembled. Bro, you owe money? He hurried to open the door. Probably afraid they'd break it and he'd have to pay the landlord. Several burly men strode in. Muscles bulging. Ban. You lost your job and you're sick. HMPH. If we didn't find you today and you died somewhere, who would we collect from? Seeing me silent, my parents panicked and shouted. We're calling the police. Who are you thugs? One of the men cracked his knuckles and sneered. Go ahead. Call. Ban owes me 1 million yuan. Even the police would admit that. Right? That number made my parents' legs go weak. They nearly collapsed, pointing at me and yelling. How could you owe so much? Are you trying to kill this whole family? I lowered my head and stammered. I spent some when buying the house, and some with my girlfriend. Dad was so furious he lunged as if to hit me. The muscular man stepped in front of me at once. HMPH. I heard he's sick. If he dies out there and it gets blamed on us? Dream on. I already checked, he has an apartment. Hand it over to repay the debt. Dad stared at the 4 towering men filling the room and his voice shook. We don't have money. The man sneered. Then sign this. He held out a document cutting off the parent-child relationship. Sign this and we'll take him away. Whether he lives or dies later. Don't worry about it. As for the money, I have my own ways of getting it out of him. My parents and brother rushed to sign, fighting over the pen, so fast it made me nauseous. Looking at their expressions, I could even see relief, as if something wonderful had happened. Once they finished, they handed the paper to the leader and said hurriedly, take him away. From now on we have nothing to do with him. No relationship at all. The muscular man ground his teeth in anger. Never seen animals like your family. Fine, I'll take him. I didn't look back. I silently followed them out. As soon as we got in the car, the men cursed angrily. Man, your family really is trash. Cutting ties like that was the right move. I thanked each of them for helping me, shook their hands, and gave each 200 yuan for their trouble. They waved it off repeatedly, but I forced them to accept. I carefully tucked away the severance document, then hurried straight to my grandfather's house. He was thin and haggard. The moment he saw me, he tried to prop himself up. Ban, why are you back? Is work very hard? He even tried to get out of bed. Seeing his injured leg unbandaged, seeing him living alone in such misery, my eyes burned. Without a word, I lifted him into the car and drove straight to Beijing, to the best hospital for treatment. Luckily, it was only a fall that hadn't been treated in time. With proper care and rest, he would recover quickly. I immediately bought a house in Beijing so it would be easier to take care of him. The company I started with a group of friends unexpectedly received investment, and operations kept improving. I took the opportunity to invest in a few more promising projects, and to my surprise, every single one turned a profit. Before long, I bought a villa and, through a talent recruitment program, officially obtained Beijing household registration. I didn't hide the fact that I'd taken Grandpa away, and there was no way to hide it anyway. As he gradually recovered, people from the village kept coming to visit. I didn't stop them, because I knew sooner or later someone would come looking for me. What I didn't expect was that the first person to show up would be my ex-girlfriend. She heard from mutual friends that I'd achieved financial freedom, and immediately started switching numbers to harass me. Ban, I was mad because you went back to your hometown without telling me. Why didn't you contact me? I was speechless. Lamon, you were the one who broke up with me first. Don't act like you've lost your mind. She paused, then spoke in a coy tone. We didn't break up. I was just throwing a little tantrum. I almost laughed out loud. Are you insane? A tantrum? You even said you had a Beijing boyfriend. Stop bothering me. I'm hanging up. She panicked. No, Ban, I'm not seeing anyone. I realize the person I love most is still you. Can you forgive me? I'm begging you. Don't. I'm not stupid enough anymore to come crawling back to you. I really was stupid before. Back then I wanted to tell you I had more than 60 million in dividends. I was going to buy you a house and a car so you wouldn't have to struggle anymore. But you only wanted to break up. You didn't want to hear it. You didn't want the life I was preparing for you. So what are you doing now? Coming back and making a scene? As soon as she heard that, Lamon burst into tears. Ban, I was wrong. I really was wrong. That guy, he gambles. And he hits me too. Ban, save me. Please save me. Serves you right. A trash man and a cheap woman. Heaven made you a perfect pair. Stay locked together. A few days later, Lamon's mother called me. Ban, it's all my fault. Blame me. I forced Own to be with that man. Can you forgive her? I let out a cold laugh. Ma'am, I still remember clearly the first time I went to your house to meet you. You said I was rustic and unworthy of Own and threw away the gift I brought. I remember you saying that without 2 million, I shouldn't even dream of proposing. Now I have everything, and she's the one who broke up with me. That proves one thing. Your family simply doesn't have the fortune for it. If she met a bad man, she should break up with him. Why come bother me? The line went silent for a few seconds. Then she wailed miserably. Then where is Own supposed to find a decent, well-off man like you now? Ban, just consider your past feelings. In their eyes I was nothing but a walking ATM. I cut her off immediately. Sorry, but now that I'm rich, I don't think your family is worthy either. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked the number so I wouldn't be annoyed again. That day Grandpa and I were planting vegetables at the villa. Honestly, I'd never been interested in that before. But now I felt that growing vegetables was practically the soul of our people. Just as Grandpa went inside to get something, my parents and younger brother suddenly showed up at the gate. The first to speak was my brother, opening his mouth with accusations. Bro, was it fun hiding this from us? We're family and you still played tricks. Look at you, living in a villa in Beijing and you didn't even invite mom and dad or me in to sit for a bit? You've worried them so much they've gotten thin. I looked at his innocent expression and didn't know whether to be angry or laugh. I wiped my hands and said coldly, is your brain disconnected? Didn't you already cut ties with me? Now that you heard I'm rich, you came crawling back to suck blood again? He frowned and raised his voice. Ban, just because you have money you think you're amazing? Don't you know how to talk to people? I sneered. Talk to people? Do you qualify? Return the house that's under your name first. Then you can open your mouth. The three of them froze. How do you know? I tossed the hand towel straight at their faces and snapped. I knew from the beginning. I just wanted to joke with you. But you didn't have a shred of affection. You even planned to trick me into going abroad to die there. Dad looked a little guilty but still forced a tough tone. So what if we tricked you? You're our son. You too is your brother. You supporting us and giving us money is only natural. I laughed at the shamelessness. Nonsense. I won't give you a single cent. We've already cut ties. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Immediately the two of them plopped down in front of my gate and started wailing. Heaven, what an unfilial son. A son with money who won't support his parents. If you don't support your parents, heaven will strike you down. Ungrateful child. I covered my ears and frowned. Who are you? I don't have parents. I still have the severance paper right here. Don't you have a son? Here, too, due to. Hurry and fulfill your filial duty. Don't let them cry so miserably. It's embarrassing. Dad was so furious he lunged at me. I grabbed his arm. You think you can hit me? Do you have the right? Grandpa fell and broke his leg and you left him in the countryside to fend for himself. I only joked that I was sick. And you transferred my house to my brother and even tried to trick me into going to Myanmar to die. What kind of parents are that vicious? Aren't you afraid of retribution? I let out a cold laugh. I only wanted to joke a little. But heaven has eyes. It knows who deserves what. Back then I was even planning to buy villas and cars and give each of you a few million for retirement. Grandpa heard the commotion and hobbled out with his cane, trembling with anger. You beasts. I'm your father. If you've got guts, explain what filial piety means. A man struggled on his own for so many years. You're nothing but selfish. And you even tried to harm him. That house was worth over $1 million. Giving it to you was already merciful. What nerve do you have coming here? Talking about filial duty? Then pay back the hundreds of thousands a man spent on my medical treatment. With that he turned, grabbed a flower pot from the yard, and hurled it straight at the three of them. They staggered back again and again under the barrage. Seeing Grandpa about to charge forward to hit them, they panicked and turned to run for their car. Dad, what are you doing? Grandpa? It's me. Due to my foot. I'll beat you to death. You animal. I hurried to hold Grandpa, afraid his agitation would affect his health. Watching the three of them flee out of sight, he didn't even bother looking after them. Just snorted. I've seen through them for a long time. I'm not worked up. This isn't even as intense as the exercises I do dancing with Mrs. Zhang in the square every evening. A ban. Don't be afraid. They needed to be taught a lesson. Come on inside. Today I'll make your favorite sugar cakes. I smiled and helped him into the house. My work was almost completely settled now. He was old, and I decided to take him traveling everywhere. Back then he'd suffered so much for me. And after I started working I never had time to stay by his side. Now that I finally had time, the people who weren't worth it didn't deserve another ounce of my attention. Once I made up my mind, I acted. I started planning to take Grandpa on a journey to explore the beautiful rivers and mountains of our homeland. That's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like the video, subscribe to China Story Tales, and stay tuned for more stories.